Hello, Nigerians. It's been a wonderful week, so to say. A very busy, a very exhausting week for Nigerians and lovers of Nigeria. This evening, we hope to summarize and also bring to us some of the analyst view of what has happened in Nigeria, the implications, the some sort of danger and threats it portends for Nigeria going forward with respect to our jurisprudence, the legality, or so to say, illegality of what is coming from the judiciary, the implications and the impacts going forward. The first one is that as we started this week, we had the fact that Tinubu, Atiku has scored a very big goal in the US when the judge concluded that what he sought for in his prayers pertaining the case of the qualification of the president should be released to him. That was a very big news that was trending in the country. And then there was the issue of, is it possible? Will he be able to make it before the submission of the petition on Wednesday? And then on that same Tuesday of this week, Peter Obi successfully submitted through his lawyer his appeal to the Supreme Court. And by Wednesday morning, we were all aware that indeed both the PDP and the Labour Party have succeeded in submitting their appeals to the Supreme Court with respect to the judgment of the Presidential Elections Petitions Court. And further on, we heard about the Governorship Elections Petitions Tribunal in Kano State and how we went. And then by Thursday again, we heard that of Enugu State. We are going to be summarizing all these things this week. But in addition to that is the fact that the so-called information that Atiku was asked to collect that had been given a go-ahead, it didn't happen again. There is an appeal that is still holding that because the president appealed again to a higher court saying, please don't release my record to Atiku, that it may cause irreparable, that I'm quoting, irreparable damage to him. We don't know what that is, but that's where we found ourselves today. And I think we would like to start by giving us some analyst perspective of those, playing a video that we got from one of the mainstream medias in Nigeria, Arise News to be specific. And let's hear how it happens there. Just about 3 minutes or thereabout, and then I come in there. If you don't mind, can you just give us that first video?
An order directing Chicago State University to make available President Tinubu's academic records to the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. It follows a plea by Mr. Tinubu's lawyers that it will cause severe and irreparable harm to him. A magistrate had on Tuesday ordered the university to release President Tinubu's academic records to Atiku within 48 hours to enable him prove that Mr. Tinubu should not have been allowed to take part in the 2023 presidential election because he allegedly forged his Chicago State University certificate. But in a fresh emergency application, President Tinubu's lawyers asked the district courts to delay the release of the documents till Monday and had suggested that their release would cause the president severe and irreparable harm. So what on earth are they talking about? Why is the president so keen not to have his academic records made public? What would you make of this issue around the release of President Tinubu's academic record?
One, I think, is also a battle between legality, personal privileges, public interest, and political survival. Now, I don't think our laws, imagined a situation that we have now, because we've had cases in Bayelsa and other places where this sort of allegation led to people, losing their seats. So it opens us also to the lacunas under our laws. Now, you will agree that ordinarily speaking, the president should be willing for his academic records to be out there, even though he doesn't need a university qualification to contest for, the presidency, just a school cert certificate. But there are a number of issues. In America, for instance, if this were happening there, it's a matter of national security. Because right now, whether the president releases the results or otherwise, it is still a matter of issue. Because if maybe something is wrong with the result, that could be used as an exploitation point for both the presidency and the country.
And it could have implications, for Nigeria.
Especially at the time we are crying about new colonialism, and this happens, then a lot will go in. Then also, if the president decides to release it, but right now that he's making a plea that is going to come and cause an irreparable harm to him, that is also a pointer that I think our last guest mentioned, that we can only wait till Monday to ascertain the level of irreparable harm, which is the point I made about political survival. Because right now, the person that is challenging him is on the point of qualification and not the vote that he has garnered. Because if something is wrong, his 8-point-something million votes will simply go down, the drain. So I think he's fighting for political survival, but it speaks to the kind of challenge we have with our leadership recruitment process. You could imagine that a party interrogated this certificate, certified the president to be fit to run. The same certificate we are talking about now has been presented to INEC under oath, right? And right now, the university is saying we can't accept this result, or rather present it under oath. So something is wrong, but we can only wait for the judicial.
It certainly raises. Let me come to you, because
okay, fine, that's fine.
There is, I think you touched on
we've heard it. I told us we're going to just take it very simple this evening. Number one is, let's start from those analyses there. Somebody said, don't release something to my opponent because it will cause me severe and irreparable damage. What is this severe and irreparable damage? First and foremost, let me take us back to the whole situation. To start with, what was released to Enahoro Eba by Chicago State University showed that the person, the Bola A. Tinubu, that was admitted as a student by the Chicago State University is, number one, a female, and number two, a Black American. So the person is a citizen of America, and secondly, happens to be a female. We do know that our president's name is Bola A. Tinubu. We do know also that he is a male. And we do know also that he filled in his Form EC-9 that he has never held the citizenship of any other country. Could that be the irreparable damage? We do not know. Secondly, as highlighted by the analyst in this particular video clip, it's a matter of national security. Because if there is a situation that will make another country to exploit us, for instance, if for any reason he's able to play ball with these countries and cut a deal with them and say, don't release this, I'm going to be at your beck and call, that is a disadvantage to us as a country. And thirdly, as he mentioned, we do know that APC lost their governorship position in February 2020. Simply because of what? There are inconsistencies in the name and qualification of the deputy governor. So the question we need to ask ourselves is this. So far, haven't we seen inconsistencies? That the document that was submitted to INEC under oath, the body that is supposed to have issued that certificate is not ready to come under oath to say that they issued that particular document. Now, the question here is, why is it good for a man who won the governorship election in Bayelsa State to lose his position as a governor, to lose his mandate as a governor, simply because of inconsistency that was found in his qualification and in his names. And another person is allowed to sit in the exalted seat of a president when there are inconsistencies in his names, in his qualification, in his degrees, which he made under oath. Now, if we read deeper into that statement of severe and irreparable damage, could that portend that the Supreme Court is actually ready to accept this document? Because remember, Mike Enahoro Eba had initially been summoned under subpoena and he tendered all these documents. Could that mean that the Supreme Court is ready? And this idea of trying to push it forward, is it to technically render it impossible for Atiku to lay hands on it and submit it to the Supreme Court? That's why I think that there are more challenges Nigerians are facing because a few people want their interests to be protected. Secondly, why is someone not willing to submit something that will exonerate him? If there had been this news about inconsistency about you, and you have come out to publicly say, I am a credible, I am a straightforward, I am a fighter for good governance and what have you, shouldn't you be the person who is at the forefront of saying, whatever you need for me to prove to you that I am who I say I am, take it, have it? Does that not suggest to us Nigerians that if someone is trying to suppress something that should exonerate him, then indeed there is something very deep in that particular information that he's trying to suppress? Madam, I don't know if you have anything to add to this before we move on to the next. So just come in.
Yeah, Doc, you made an important point just now, because from the way what the Tinubu legal team is saying, it means that the Supreme Court might end up upholding what the tribunal has already ruled, because their challenge now is just to stop the US from releasing this document. All they want is that US shouldn't give Atiku this document because they know they've already secured their stay in Aso Rock. Because it appears he's not even worried about the tribunal or the Supreme Court at home. He's only worried about that of the US. So if he'll be able to stop that of the US, just forget that of home, as in that in Nigeria. He knows how to manage that. And that tells us how bad our judicial system has gone, as in how things have really gone bad. Because it appears if you have a case in court today, you already know what is in the mind of the judges, how they are going to deliver their judgment. Because for me, that's how I perceive it. He already knows that he has secured his seat, in Aso Rock, even if we end up just like Peter Obi has filed his appeal, but that doesn't bother them. The only thing that bothers them at the moment is that of the US, because they know they don't have control over that one. If he doesn't take these moves, it might boomerang, as in it might hurt him badly. And that is why his lawyers, you see him moving around, his lawyers are there in the US pressing all the kinds of buttons that they can press. But for me, I think this is really a time for the United States to prove that they still, they still hold on to their judicial system. They should prove that they are a democratic country. And the judge should also prove to our judges or to Nigerians that we can equally learn from the US. Because if they end up twisting things, just like what we are seeing in Nigeria. I don't even know how they are trying to like paint their country this bad for the sake of just one man. So that's